Hey, Mark. How are you? Hi. Oh, thank you for thinking of me. Why are you at the doctor's? Oh, yeah. I hope that works. Oh, yeah.
How are you?
I'm great. No, I am neither on summer break nor am I retired. I'm still working part-time in school, and class is still going for another week or two. And hang on a second. I know it's gone. I heard something coming from my computer. Yeah. We love it so much. We require it to do it. Yeah, so a couple more weeks of that, and they want to get next year to do it again. So I'll probably do that. Got involved in the homeless coalition this morning during a Zoom meeting for the Spokane. Families well and healthy, and yeah, so good. How are you? How's work? How's family? Good. That's the funny thing. Surgery is, that now makes you all nervous when I hear about that. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. Oh, good. So it's the same place every once. That's a big deal. I love to. I remember I went through that there was a little something small. Okay. Well, okay. I'll bring you that too. Okay. That sounds fun to me. Are you going to meeting? No? It's still sober? Oh, good. As long as you're still sober, that's what counts. Do whatever works. Good job. Well, I'm the main share of the Zoom meeting if you ever want to try that. He's there, he shares on Saturdays, and he's off and on other days. Yeah, he's all last couple of years. Yeah. 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 Oh, yes. Oh. Jerry Allen, he comes to that new meeting. He comes about three. He comes about 3 mornings a week. No, it's off and on. He goes back and forth between he can't make the in-person meeting. He's worth it. But he'll zoom in on his driving to work and that work. That's the smart to do there. He always shares the Sunday one in person. Oh, she zoomed in once for about 10 minutes, and after that, I haven't and let's see, we're somewhere. I did go to the in-person meeting a couple of weeks ago. I think it was go on Sunday. After I finished the Zoom, I went down to the in-person one because it was Dallas's 27-year birthday. And I saw a whole bunch of folks coming out. So I didn't have it. For me? Oh, yeah. I was early. All right. Let's go see fix. Let's go see. Okay. Bye-bye. Christina, did you just vote for the in-person only?
Yeah, I did that one, and then I went because I did both. I did the in-person only. That's my preference, but I know that there's probably a lot of people that would like the hybrid, you know, in person or the live stream if they can't get to it. But I prefer the in-person.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because there's another poll out there on the email, and 15 people responded, and nobody picked in-person only.
Yeah, I figured it probably wouldn't be super popular, but I just like in person.
Oh, that's good. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to fix something there. There. Okay, that fixed it. No, I'm really curious. I don't know, and I figure the first time we do it, I'm sure the first time we do it, it'll be both in person and some kind of Zoom. And I'm really curious as to like how that plays out, if who wants to do that. So
Yeah.
okay, that's all. Go back to whatever you're doing. I'm gonna go back to what I'm doing.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning, Ben. You're here bright and early.
Hey, what's up, Barry?
Just here bright and early.
Oh, there we go. My volume was off.
Yeah, you weren't hearing me. I figured
No.
you'd look at me eventually. And you know, for the first half hour, you're welcome to join in and listen, or you can just do some work.
Oh, so we're not starting until 9:30. Okay.
Yeah, the 9 to 9:30 is just sort of chatting, connecting.
I forgot. So I'll come back on at 9:30.
Okay.
All right, cool. I might just stay on, but I'm going to kill my video.
Yeah, kill the video, just hang out, listen, sort of with one ear and do your work with the other ear. Well, good morning, folks. I got about 9 a.m. So if you want to just be here and be ready for the 9:30 part, you're welcome to. If you want to chat, I would love to just chat and sort of have the kind of that in-person kind of networking thing. So if you want to respond, B-I-E-L-E-N-B-E, by Bielenby. You want to say hi? No?
Hello, it's Bielenberg.
Bielen what?
Bielenberg.
Bielenberg. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
What brings you here today?
Well, I work with Melina, and I just wanted to be a nosy posy and listen in.
Okay,
See if I
great.
can learn
You're
something.
welcome to do that. And between now and 9:30, I just kind of chat with folks who come in early. And then at 9:30, the official meeting begins. So you're welcome just to hang out and listen.
Thank you so much, Barry.
And Christina, welcome. Where are you from? Now, you may just be working. Joan. Hi, Joan. Good to see you.
Thanks, Barry. Good morning.
You and your team just make me so happy. You guys are putting in so much work, and I'm just so like that document you prepared, man. If that could get published and disseminated, that is so good. I don't know if anyone will publish it, but I mean,
Thank
you know,
you.
obviously we will hear it today, and you can put it out on the website. But you're like preaching to the choir there. So.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And you have just laid it out so well and so step by step. And
Thank you. Well, I had a lot of help from both Dawn and Ken.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me alone at all.
Well,
I mean,
I know it's a community effort, but I know that it takes, you know, kind of that one, and that's how a lot of these things happen. It just, that meeting back in March, it's like you kind of kept going at it and going at it. And then you said, well, let's, you know, Bill, and then that just, people coalesced around you, and then boom. So
yeah.
I don't know, that was just, it's just so wonderful to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, I tend to be a spark
Mhm.
or a catalyst or
I
something.
hope it's a spark and a catalyst that brings some change. Now, I know how hard it is to change this system, but I think you've got a good path there.
Well, we're already seeing changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Ken's already seeing changes in how people are being treated during the sweeps, and
They're sweeping in Mission Park right now.
oh my gosh, he just got a phone call. They're sweeping at Mission Park right now.
They're sweeping right now.
Yeah, as we speak. Yeah.
I wonder if Thursday mornings is one of their days, because that seems to have happened before during a meeting.
Yep. Yeah, it's like they know, they know we're occupied.
Well, I think they probably also have some kind of a schedule. You know, this morning we'll go here. This morning we'll go here.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some kind of a map. I don't know really what the map means on the city website, but it's like a map of code enforcement inspectors. And it's got the city all like blocked out, like different neighborhoods with numbers and color coding, and I'm not sure exactly what it means, how to translate the map, but they've got some kind of a plan on how they do it and who does what. So yeah.
I see someone new came in. Joe, good morning. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us why you're here? You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just hang out.
Hi, my name is Joe. I'm not going to put myself on video. Sorry, not prepared for that this morning quite yet. And I work for Catholic Charities. I am here for some updates on the handy rental assistance that went active on the 1st, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, I am happy to be here and love these meetings that you guys put on all the time. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, thanks. Well, Jen from the zone has created the attachments that I sent out in the email.
Yes.
Like your handy dandy multi-layer, and she's going to go through those today.
That woman is amazing.
Yes, it is. It is amazing what she's created.
Yep. I pity anyone that gets in her way, actually.
Yeah, she gets things done. So yeah, anyway, that's coming up. And then, while she's presenting, I'm going to open it up and see if anybody else has any other little tricks or shortcuts or whatever ways to access that stuff. Because yeah, that's going to be a big issue. Tentatively, the coalition leadership team plans to address the eviction moratorium on our July meeting. Now, things could change radically between now and then, but that's kind of we think that will be like the big thing in July. So we're kind of looking towards that. So welcome. Let's see who else just zoomed in. Mark W., do you want to say hi? Don't have to if you're busy.
Hey, Barry. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Mark.
I'm the landlord liaison for Goodwill's Workforce and Family Services Departments, HEN and SSVF, as well as the chair for the Landlord Liaison Network.
Yeah.
Joe, I was actually going to reach out to you this week. I have some questions for you. So good thing you're here to remind me.
Perfect.
That's what this is for.
Well, she comes to the meetings. I talk to her once a month. I just totally forgot. Like I thought, oh, I need to ask Joe something yesterday, and then, yep, here it is. So it's good. It's good. What was it? There was something, Barry. Now I can't remember.
Oh, you'll remember it.
Well, we got the SSVF grant for another 3 years. If nobody knew that, HEN got I think almost double the budget again. So we can continue HEN. We're going to hire quite a few positions for new case managers and such. Yeah, we just keep paying people's rent. We can pay arrears if they qualify as a veteran. So if anybody says they're a veteran or they think they have some service time, have them call the outreach number. What is it again? I can't remember. 828-2449. I'll put that in the chat, but
cool. Yeah, especially I'd suggest putting that in the chat at the portion of the meeting where we talk about rental assistance.
mm-hmm.
Like I'll probably open it up for questions or comments, and that might be a perfect time for you to mention about veterans. I don't think the information that we have addresses veterans specifically. So anyway.
No, it's and the thing is that to qualify now for SSVF, the VA has even lowered some of the barriers of entry for the program too. So we're helping a lot more veterans that otherwise wouldn't have qualified. So that's kind of where we've been even more so with that kind of sentence saying, hey, if they are a veteran, if they think they're a veteran, if they have served or however they reference it, please have them contact them and kind of go through the steps that way. But it is hard because they kind of get filtered to that section immediately and they kind of miss out on other opportunities, I've noticed. And that's something that I think Ben and the COC and then our subcommittee, the Veterans Leadership Subcommittee, is trying to figure out on how to not have people still be available for resources. Just because they say they're a veteran, they kind of get filtered over to that direction and then they miss other opportunities while they're waiting to be screened and then if they don't qualify due to their status, then they're back to the square one on the other list, and they miss some time. So it's been trying to figure out a way to kind of manage both those together simultaneously. So
good. Well, like I said, that during the meeting today, if that seems to be an important sort of thing, put it in the chat or raise your hand or something. I'll get you.
Okay, will do.
Good, thank you. Chris Snow, welcome. Want to introduce yourself?
I'm the pastor at North Hill Christian Church. So I've been in and out of these meetings for a while. And my wife also usually comes. She is actually the case manager lead at HIN.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome. Let's see, who else do we have? Jacob M.V.A. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from? You're muted, Jacob. There you go.
Okay, there we go. All right. Jacob Mendoza, housing specialist. I work with healthcare for homeless veterans, Department of the VA. I just started this job last year. I've been working for the VA since 2006. Actually, my first job with VA was Homeless Veteran Services before they switched the name to HCHV, and that was up in Alaska. I worked at a VA domiciliary doing psychosocial substance abuse rehabilitation.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
here. Let's see. Yeah, I see a connecting to audio, a picture of a lady in a little square, but it just keeps saying connecting to audio like you're not actually connected. I'd say, hi, tell us who you are, but I don't think you're totally connected yet. So when you're connected, we'll move on. Jen Morris, hi, do you want to say hi and where you're from?
Sure. My name is Jen Morris, and I am the director operator at the Spokane Resource Center.
Cool. I hear that that place is getting busier and busier. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, up until this point, we've been virtual phone service only, like most folks. Starting Monday, though, we're going to start allowing walk-ins to start. So we will be serving customers starting Monday. We're very excited. And it's exciting for us here. We've been waiting for it for a long time. So we will be having, there will be a capacity limit, of course. But we hope to be able to get people in, and at least if we can't help them that day, get us appointments set up and scheduled for them, and get them moving forward. So,
okay. Will you put something out, or have you? I don't think you have, but will you put something out on the Homeless Coalition link serve, the email chain about that?
Yeah, we will. We're still, because we've got so many partner agencies that are here, and a lot of them aren't sending staff back to their home agencies at this point. I've kind of been slow at putting the word out because if we get a big influx of people coming in, but
and nobody's there,
sitting staff, then we may not be able to do a ton with folks, but we will still be able to schedule them because all of our partner agencies we still have direct contacts with, and so we still do warm handoffs, and it's just more it's more of a matter of getting them connected to them, and not just trying to send them somewhere else, because we don't want to do that. So
I'm just thought came into my head. Once you're back up and like really moving and people are there, that it might be good to have you, if you're interested, to do an update on this meeting.
Absolutely.
Put it out on the listserv and people will see that, but you just when you're really ready to say, come on in, making that announcement when everybody's here, I think would be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're
keep that in mind.
Yeah, we're ready. So we're, for the most part, I mean, we do have staff here, so it's just a matter of, getting all the staff. So, and getting everybody back from all the agencies, and
getting all the agencies back in. Yeah.
It's a lot more work than I anticipated with reopening things. So, but we're ready. We're excited. So.
With all the different agencies you have there's a lot of moving parts in all those different agencies that have to come together.
Exactly. And so it's really nice, though, that we've got a lot of support with all those agencies. So we're hoping by at least middle to late June, we'll have most, if not all, agencies represented back here. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that update for me and those that are here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Let's see. Colin, you want to say hi and where you're from?
Colin Meskey, Mayor Corps volunteer working on affordable housing in West Central with the Spokane Alliance. I'm from Colorado, so. Yeah.
Is that Colorado in the background?
I wish it was. It's a magical Zoom background.
Oh,
with
okay, one of
everyone.
those, yeah. Anything new happening in your neighborhood?
I mean, there's always a lot happening in West
Oh,
Central.
yeah.
There's always a lot happening in affordable housing. So
Okay, good. Well, thanks for zooming in. You often zoom in early. I remember you being introducing you early in all of these meetings, so welcome.
Mhm.
Let's see, Susan M., you want to say hi and where you're from?
Yeah. I'm Susan. I work at SNAP. I've been there over around 8 years, doing this kind of work for a long time. I'm a housing specialist, but I deal with several programs like foundational community support and better health through housing and rapid rehousing, all those different grants. And that's what I do.
Good. Well, thank you for being here. Let's see, who else? Salvador, do you want to say hi and what you do and where you're from?
Yes, hi, my name is Salvador. I work for the Tenants Union of Washington State. New to the team, I'm focused on the Latinx community and look forward being here with you all. Thank you.
Do you have any inside info on the possibility of the eviction moratorium being extended or how that's going to look?
Yeah, I wish I had a crystal ball that would let me know. That would be so helpful. But currently, yeah, we're not sure what's going to happen if the governor's going to extend the moratorium or not.
Yeah, I'm on various email lists and a lot of them are asking, please contact the governor and ask to extend it. So yeah, I know, I think, we're all wondering when it's really going to end and what's going to happen when it ends. That's, I think, the million-dollar question right now.
Barry, there's kind of a weird deal, right? The governor had the opportunity to veto the moratorium ending on the 30th with the new housing bills that signed. And since he didn't, that's where everybody's mindset is that it's just going to end. Now, he can still extend some of the protections or kind of alter some of it, but the general moratorium as a whole, it seems like that is going to end because he could have vetoed that section of the bill that was passed. So it's a weird caveat where like he could still ultimately just make another one if he wants out of thin air. But the idea is that since he could have vetoed it and he didn't, that's where everybody's like really feeling there's a little bit more legitimacy to the end date, but then things can still be altered, of course. But that's kind of where the strength of the landlord side has been, because I go to like all the landlord associations and they're all like pretty much not dead set. Nobody knows everything, right? But they're pretty much like working like, okay, starting July 1st, the new rules are engaged. And then the right to counsel is in fact, and then they have that stuff. So all that other stuff's lined up kind of according to the same dates that we found out. So it seems like 85%, 90% sure, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that he didn't veto it was kind of like a signal that it's going to end. I mean, he could have made a strong statement and vetoed it, but he didn't.
Yep.
That doesn't tell you what's really going to happen.
not even close.
Signal.
And then each county, like, so King County has their own set of protections, and Snohomish, so each county has their own thing and their own situation to where it kind of bridges to the next thing too. So that's kind of where I think they're following that same suit, where like you can't be evicted in King County in the winter, or kind of it's got weird rules about being displaced during the cold weather. So along those lines, that's where I feel like he's kind of leveled the playing field to kind of meet in the middle, sort of, because they had a lot of pushback for those housing bills. They didn't get what they wanted 100% at all.
And is it in place that every eviction requires some mediation?
It's in the 5 largest counties.
Oh, okay.
That you need to have that. And then, but the right to counsel is for every Washingtonian at that income level, right? So then that kind of then shifts the it shifts that weight of a true eviction to more of a litigation. And then it makes the landlords pay more money, but also offers more tenant protections that otherwise wouldn't have. So I think what it meant was you go to mediation in the 5 counties to not overdo the court system, where otherwise everybody else can kind of handle that influx. And then, you know, down the road. But because Jose Trejo presented yesterday the goodwill for us. And so I got to ask him some questions. So basically, they think there's going to be continuances kind of put in place. So they're going to go 1, 2, 3 weeks continuances to get the council in order to then go back. And in that time, you got to think the landlords are paying additional landlord or lawyer fees and additional time with their lawyer, to where it might be better just to settle or to do mutual terminations, or here's your security deposit back so you can move, whatever it is, instead of a true eviction. So hopefully that'll avoid that being a new barrier to rehousing, is having that eviction on the record. I think the hard part is just availability and cash on hand to be able to move. A lot of people don't have that capital to be able to move or to replace themselves. So.
And, you know, I know there's funding out there. My assumption, you might know better than, I'm sure you know better, like that the funding that is hanging out there ready to start going to tenants or landlords, I guess there's 2 things. I'm asking you, is there enough money out there? I think obviously not. And are the mechanisms in place to get that money moving quickly enough to folks, whether we're landlords or tenants?
So this current go around of the money, the reason Jenna and everybody took on the Unified Housing Committee and the messaging was because it was kind of fractured on where to find it or how to get to it, right? And then like SNAP has county only, but then there's city money, and that's kind of that's why the messaging needs to be what it is. But I think in July, somewhere soon, landlords are able to apply on their own without the tenants, which is going to help alleviate some of that traditional mom and pop struggle that we've had the whole moratorium. And then the money available, there's still more money coming, Barry. Like they keep saying there's more money. Carol has come to the landlord meeting and told us a bunch of times, we're like, oh, there's money here, but then there's also money coming later. And then the city just got more money and FEMA's got money. So the more stuff they pass, and then there's new vouchers coming into Spokane through the emergency housing voucher program that came with the new whatever they gave the new name, but the American Rescue Plan Act. So Spokane got 222 vouchers. Alex said they tried to get 300. They're waiting to hear, and then they're going to hopefully bump up some of that fair market rent value they can on the vouchers to then compete a little bit in the market. But then they have an incentive attached to each one of those vouchers to house people quickly. As a housing authority, you get money back on the back end. So then, and each one of those vouchers comes with incentive money for either paying landlords or for paying deposits or paying moving costs. So that should in turn help a bunch of people that are traditionally homeless or at risk of homelessness or housing instability get linked to a voucher that then they can go, long-term housing stability. So the money's out there, Barry, and I believe there's enough to keep us from being, a disaster really truly happening. But to get it and access it, I think that's where Jenna's thing is so important. And then also the COC and Ben and how they kind of coordinate their efforts moving forward to try to meet the demand of the community, right? Because it's been hard because the city has their way they want to do it, and then the county has chosen their way to do the money and the rental assistance, and then people are stuck in the middle. Like Jen Morris is answering questions saying, well, what's your address? Let me look on a Google map to see which one you fall into, and it's like a hard thing. So
Yep. And the folks in this meeting and on the listserv are the ones trying to help navigate all that with the landlords and tenants.
Yeah. And it's been an interesting thing to hear the landlord side too, because the landlords aren't all anti anything, right? They understand they need to be at the table just the same as the tenants. It's just hard because at the end of the day, they have a business, right? And they want to support their business livelihood. Now, some have a little bit more of a profit margin than other ones, so we can talk about that. But yeah, so that's been the hard part of how to meet everybody where they are.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, thank you, Mark. That's very helpful. Let's see who else. If anybody wants to chime in, you're welcome to. Rob.Stevens, you want to say hi and what you're doing and why you're here?
Morning, Mary and everybody else. Yeah, I'm Rob. I'm a community connector with Molina Healthcare. So working mostly with the Medicaid population, helping them get connected to the various resources throughout the community to help fill the gaps that they're facing. So.
Good, thank you. Sherry, what's going on in the Valley?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sherry. I'm with Spokane Valley Community Advocate, brand new charity organization out here in the Valley. We had an in-person rental assistance event on May 14th. It was very small, but we served 9 people and over $35,000 in SNAP assistance. We were going to have another event with more tables on the 19th, but I've had a death in the family and my daughter's having surgery that week, so I'm having to cancel and don't know when I'll reschedule that.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for all your good work.
Yeah, she was 99 and 27 days.
Wow. That's a life.
That's a lifetime, yes.
Yeah. And welcome, Katie. Thanks for coming in. Katie is our closed captioning person. And I think I just assigned you to do that. Let's see, do I have to push anybody? Closed captioning is available. Closed captions, show subtitles. Ah, yes, we guys can see this. I know I can see it. Can other people see the captioning along the bottom? Nod your head if you can, people. Oh, I see a no. I hear a yes. No? Okay, let's see here. Make sure I got the right button pushed. Closed captions. There we go. Oh, okay. Assign someone. I will type. Oh, there we go. Closed captions. Hopefully I pushed the right button. I see that. Do other people see that down at the bottom? Yes, we see that down the bottom. Good. Okay. Jana, welcome. You are one of our star presenters today. We've already been talking about landlords, tenant stuff, and you've already gotten kudos from people as we've just been discussing this. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. And I will have screen share ability, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I hesitate to give it to you just now because the way I think I have to give it to everybody. Yeah, and I've done that before and things show up. So I'll do it later. I'll give you a screen share. Okay, thank you. See, anybody else want to say hi or introduce yourself? If not, I'll maybe ask one other person to say hi before we strap up our seatbelts and take off. Dan Wilcox, you're unmuted. Does that mean you want to say hi?
Sure, thank you. Yes, this is Jennifer Wilcox. I'm a veteran and I've been a member of the Spokane Homeless Coalition for a while, but I just wanted to give everyone a heads up for our stand down on June 26th, the veteran stand down. And I just sent flyers, so I don't think folks have had a chance to read their email, but I sent it to the entire group. And the stand down is basically an event for veterans and veterans who are experiencing homelessness and or those who in need of help and support to get together and connect with resources and share their life experiences and their camaraderie with one another. They'll be given a free lunch and clothing and other things they may need. So I just wanted to get the word out for that. You can give me a call on the email list or ask any questions at another time. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, that's coming up. Okay, my clock says 9:28, so I won't take this off just yet, but I see.
Quick question.
Yes, question.
Okay, so instead of trying to get everything in the chat box, can we get some of that information about that event in the chat box so that we can see it?
It'll show up there, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and that I would recommend that to anyone when you make sort of an announcement about, like the stand down. She said she put it on the listserv, so everyone got it in the email, but I would also recommend that she put it in the chat. Katie's
I
trying
will
to.
work on that. I'm technologically challenged, but I'll work on it during the meeting for you folks.
Okay. Well, like you said, it's all in their email. Everybody on this probably got the email saying it. So if you don't get it in the chat, it's available there.
Barry,
Yes,
this is Don Gillespie from Supported Services for Veteran Families, and just wanted to let anyone out there, if you come across a participant that is a veteran, they can call our hotline number at 509-828-2449. And we can screen them over the phone, and we're really shooting for just a few days for an intake. And so the process is moving. It's pretty well oiled right now. So any veterans that you run across, please have them contact us, and we'll be at the stand down as well. So, and we ask for everybody to participate. It's a great event every year.
good. Thank you, Don. Yep, and just stick that in the chat as well. Okay, I have 9:30. Our usual chair for this portion is Robert Lippman, but he told me at least, and the other leadership team members, that he was going to be in some beautiful place without internet connection today. So I am going to keep going and chair this thing. Please be patient with me, because usually I get to kind of step back at this point and just push buttons and things. So I'm hoping I will do it well. Basically, here's what I've got in mind. The agenda, I was planning to kind of just go through what I sent out, just kind of some brief reports in the beginning from Ben and Kylie and David and Joe and Rob, and then get to the longer presentations towards the end with Jenna on rental assistance and the action group on the suites. So that's my plan. I am quite fine if somebody says, oh, Barry, you're messing up, go ahead and interrupt me or put it in the chat. I try to learn. This is also on YouTube. If we run out of space, we only got 60 people here right now, so we're not running out of space, but it's also on YouTube if you want to go there. It's in the email. We've got a poll going on about what you want in the future. Can't promise it, but in July, we will probably move into in-person, and so far the vast majority of folks have said they want both in-person and some kind of Zoom or virtual platform they can attend, and we will do our best to do that. All righty, here, let's see. Ben Stuckart, Continuum of Care, do you want to give us your update?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Stuckart. I'm the chair of the COC and also the executive director of the Low Income Housing Consortium. Good morning. I'll just highlight a couple of things. I think on the top of the list for me is the eviction moratorium being lifted at the end of the month. I think that is concerning to the Continuum of Care and the Low Income Housing Consortium. The city, I don't know if you've been reading, the county has gotten their ARP money out. SNAP is getting that out, but the city's is just starting now. And with these processes, and the city I know has 6 million that's going out right now and another 9 million. But the concern is that most of that money will not be distributed by the end of June due to logistics and how it's going out. And then that kind of combines with the next item I want to talk about, which is the county and the city's plan. They opened the Way Out shelter on Mission, run by the Salvation Army. And the current plan, and David may have more updates, but as of late last week, the update I received is that the Way Out shelter, which has 100 beds, low barrier beds, will be shut down for 5 months, is the planned construction. And we know that in COVID, construction and things go slower and contractors do take longer. So it could be longer than the 5 to 6 months. And the system loses 100 low barrier beds then at the end of June. And the update I received twice last week is they're working hard, but there is no solution in place. The Continuum of Care is planning on sending a letter from the Continuum of Care to the city tomorrow morning. I'm still gathering input, but as of 5 p.m. that input closes from the Continuum of Care board, and that letter will be sent tomorrow morning. But I think the ask is, one, that if they come up with a plan, that it be low barrier beds and not trying to use beds with barriers in the system in order to replace those 100 beds. And then two, that if a plan is not in place that can be implemented when the 100 beds are lost in the system, like, so say there's sometimes, especially during my time at the city, you would have those vacant areas where it would take a month to launch something else, that they delay the closing of those 100 beds until those beds can be replaced in the system. And if we think about timing of the eviction moratorium ending on the end of June, along with the loss of 100 beds, I think there could be some very severe ramifications. So one, they need to be replaced with low barrier beds, but two, we don't close for an arbitrary date of construction starting until those beds are replaced. And then the third is that they consider, the city and the county, and in conversations I've been told it's not politically possible, but FEMA right now is reimbursing 100% to municipalities that buy up distressed hotels and turn them into shelters. There are even nonprofits that would run those, buy them from the city after the use as a shelter ended, and could use those as transitional housing. So my ask to the group is, that letter is going to be sent tomorrow. I will send a copy of the letter to the Homeless Coalition listserv, but that we ask the city to delay closing for renovations until those beds are replaced in the system. We just saw yesterday, and we're going to see again today, over 100-degree heat. You have to have beds in the system. You can't just replace them. There's even municipal code that the city council passed last year that unless there is a plan to replace beds, that you can't close current beds. So it would be, and I guess my point is, I understand, and this is not a critique of city staff at all, but that is, they are short-staffed. They've lost Tim and they've lost Tija, and they have not been replaced. So the city is crunched right now. But the staff time needs to be spent, dedicated to replacing those beds in the system before we lose those beds. And to me, this is a pretty severe system crunch. When we will, if the eviction moratorium ends, it will put even more of a crunch in the system. With that, I would kind of answer any questions on that issue.
Yeah, if you have questions as we go along, put them in the chat. That's one way to bring them up. Any verbal ones for Ben?
I have one. This is Bob from SNAP. If they do eliminate Salvation Army the way out, are we able to have the sweeps and illegal campsites a little bit more lenient than it is currently?
Well, Bob, my opinion on that is probably different than the cities, which is we currently don't have enough beds in the system to be doing sweeps according to the Ninth Circuit ruling. And we shouldn't be doing sweeps at all because there are not enough beds. You can only count low barrier beds towards the Supreme Court declined to hear it, so it is law. And you can only count low barrier beds towards having them available. And if you think that the point in time count, I have not seen this year's point in time count, but my understanding is that similar. And if you have 1,500 sheltered and unsheltered folks, and you have 800, with really 600 low barrier beds in the system, you shouldn't be enforcing any of those laws according to our courts. And I would love to have lawyers on this follow through.
And preview that in our meeting of this, the action group Stop the Sweeps is going to be presenting and has a very good plan for that. Joan, do you want to add something there?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the low barrier beds at Way Out are some of the only beds for opposite sex couples and adult family members to be able to stay together, because the only other shelter I think that does that is Cannon, and all the other shelters are separated by sex or other things. So just want to point that out too.
Okay, thank you, Joan. I'm going to move on.
One more thing with Ben.
Okay, Ben.
What we're seeing in outreach is, because of the pod and the police and so forth, people are leaving the downtown core and going up into neighborhoods. North side's getting just hammered up there. So there's a repercussions that's even going to increase once the Way Out is no longer in existence. So just want to give a heads up.
Okay.
Can I just ask a really quick question?
Sure, Don.
So I was told that when they find this replacement, that it's only going to be temporary until Way Out opens again as a bridge shelter, which I'm curious how you feel about that, Ben, because it's not the same kind of thing then it's not a true low barrier, you can't just walk in. So do you feel like that replacement should be permanent, or it should just be during construction? I was just curious your perspective on that.
Yeah, could you answer quickly, Ben? Because we got to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll answer real quickly, and then Joe had a question as well. And then, so Don, there will be 50 night-by-night beds in the basement of the Way Out shelter, is my understanding from talking to a couple council members this week. But you also need those night-by-night beds as well. And I think Joe had a question about the gym. And last time the city tried to use the gym of the Salvation Army, it impacted the neighborhood and did not get the utilization that it needed, because we don't have the transportation resources in the system to get people up to the Salvation Army. So I actually, in the COC letter, I recommend not using the gym as a solution, because I've seen it, a lot of resources being spent on using that gym on a night-by-night basis that didn't get utilized and had a lot of negative impacts. I really think there needs to be more capacity in the system itself. So Don, I would argue that you need more capacity both on night-by-night and transitional housing at this point in order to meet the need. And I think we're going to continue to see that with the drought going on, and we're going to have smoke problems in August where air quality is so poor. And I think with the eviction moratorium piling on, and then the fact that we have no housing in order to get people to at the end of a system, even if you do coordinated entry, everybody into the system, there is no housing at the end, and we have no housing plan. With that, Barry, I'll kind of be quiet and let you keep going on. But I will send a copy of the COC letter to the whole group, the 1,500 listserv, and I will be asking that you weigh in as well with elected officials to delay. I understand their plan, I understand the concerns, but right now I'm more worried about losing those beds. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Ben, and thank you, everyone. I'm going to point out, and we'll get to this later, the action group that stopped the sweeps. They formed kind of their own subgroup and went into real depth on these kind of things. So if this is something that is really important to you, maybe contact Ben, or you on your own, just put out on the listserv, hey, this is important to me. I want to go deeper into it than we were able to do on the monthly coalition meeting. Create your own group, your own Zoom, and go for it. So, because I know all these things, we all care about them a lot. There's a lot to say. Kylie, can you give us an update from the Spokane Regional Health District?
Okay. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I have some great news to share. So our last shelter COVID positive case was on May 1st. We've also had really low cases in people experiencing homelessness but not accessing shelter services. And so things are definitely slowing down. We do not have any current outbreaks either in any shelter. So thank you to all of the shelter providers who are working hard to protect their clients and staff. We on that, still that COVID end, one of our isolation facilities for the county has closed. And now we are offering isolation services at My Place Hotel, not Immaculate Heart anymore. We've kind of reduced capacity. So far, it hasn't been an issue because we've had such low numbers in the community, especially those accessing shelter services and experiencing homelessness. We are currently at around 1,000 people who've been vaccinated associated with the shelters in homeless service sites and things like that. And the health district, we are planning a big event on next Friday in the Compassionate Addiction Treatment parking lot, where we are trying to get provided a space where people can get vaccinated. And we're partnering with a bunch of people, and we're having $20 gift cards and catered meals. Stephanie, one of our community health workers, has taken that on and has done a fabulous job. And so we're hoping a lot of people will be able to go there and get vaccinated, and I will share that information in the link. That's everything for me. Thanks, Barry.
Okay, thank you, Kylie. Wouldn't it be great if someday we didn't need a report from the health district because all our homeless folks were healthily taken care of? A dream. David Lewis, can you give us a report from the city? Oh, are you there, David? Let me see if he's in here. David, oh, I don't see David Lewis. Okay, hey, we're back on time, on track. Joe Ader, can you talk about your new service?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Ader from Family Promise of Spokane. We run the Emergency Family Shelter, which is on the corner of Mission and Napa, the old Casanos building. I want to see if I can share my screen here. Let me introduce you to this little guy. This is Oliver. Oliver was born into the shelter in November, when we had an outbreak. So both of his parents were COVID positive the day he was born, which was our worst fear realized, but everything turned out fine. Oliver turned out healthy, but you may not know this, but the largest single age demographic that we serve is babies under 1 year old. So if you see that number, this is since 2018, almost 100 newborns have been in the emergency family shelter in that time frame. And so we've been actively pursuing opening up a new shelter just for families with newborns. And the reason for that is multiple, but one, the mass shelter is not the right environment for newborns. There's, dozens of kids from all kinds of different schools and germs coming around the babies. Plus, it's not just COVID, but any infection can cause the baby to get sick, and it could be life-threatening. And so we want to move them out of the mass shelter environment. So we're opening up a new shelter on June 15th, actually just a couple weeks. So that is going to be on the corner of Mission and Lidgerwood, I believe. I'll pull up the map here. Just a block from Division. So you see the Jimmy John's on the corner there of Mission. It's right in there. It's in a home that was owned by the Dominican Sisters, or that is owned by the Dominican Sisters, and the nuns no longer need it. And so we will be occupying it for families with newborns. All families will still check in at the emergency family shelter. So still the Family Promise Center is where they will go on the corner of Mission and Napa. And then they will be referred from there out to the smaller site location moving forward. So just wanted to update you guys on that. The other thing to update you on is we have opened up the housing assistance portal, and you can get to that by going to familypromisesspokane.org or spokanehousingassistance.org, and you can have your clients search for rental assistance on there, whether they have children or not. If they have children, they will be referred to our rental assistance. If they don't, it will direct them to a program that they qualify for. And so they can find the right solution for them through that portal. We've received 175 applications in the past week through that. So, and we really haven't started pushing it heavy yet. We'll really push hard coming into next week and the week after on getting people signed up there. We want to get our feet underneath us first, but like I said, we've had almost 200 applications already for rental assistance. So, all right. Any questions for me before I leave, you guys? Thanks, Jen. Yeah, it is exciting. So,
yeah,
awesome.
Thank you, Joe. That's great. Robert.Stevens, tell us about the Homeless Connect. This is exciting.
Yay, I'm so happy we are finally able to bring it back after this last year when we weren't able to do it. We just locked down the date with the convention center for January 27th of 2022. This is actually going to be our 10th anniversary event, so pretty big deal. For those unfamiliar, the Homeless Connect is a one-day event with the goal of gathering as many direct service providers in one place at one time, so anybody experiencing homelessness can access everything in one day, and trying to reduce as many barriers, increase awareness and access to resources. This event has grown and provides so many services: a hot meal, clothing, food bank, haircuts, veterinarian care, vaccinations, medical care, access to housing, legal aid, recovery services, mental health services, employment, and more. And it's all in one place for one day, and they can just come in and get what they need. The last Connect we did in 2020, we served almost 1,200 people. And with the state of the way everything's been going with COVID, we are anticipating probably to see double that number with this upcoming event. But also just to put it out there, if there's any community partners who haven't participated in the past and would like to, or if there's anyone that would like to assist on the planning committee, volunteering, you can contact Carrie Stevens, and I will put all of this information in the chat. So yeah, just super stoked to be able to bring the Homeless Connect back. It was a little scary last year when we weren't able to do it. It was probably one of the most needed times.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Can you do a few more things? I mean, there's only like 20, 30, 40, 50 things you're doing. Could you do one or two more? Any questions?
I think we had about 120 providers there.
Whoa, awesome.
So yeah, it's a huge range of everything.
Awesome.
And Jules came out, had the showers going, and AbbVie came out and was doing all the Hep C vaccines, and yeah. So it's always an amazing day to watch unfold.
Yeah, and the point in time count is going to be happening at that time and be coordinated with that. So it's just yeah, great thing. All righty, rental assistance, Jenna. People are interested. Share with us your amazing work.
Are you doing my pee-pee? Are you hungry? Well, actually, it is a group of 24 partners. The zone put out the call. Anyone interested in crafting a unified housing messaging for this time around. Many of us were concerned about the equity issues that were experienced this past fall. Families who didn't speak English as their first language, families with technology barriers, other things, were not able to access the rental assistance dollars, or were at the very end of the line. And so we have been advocating for more equity. You know, one of the statistics in Spokane is that 80% of our Black households are renters, 30% of our white households are renters. So when you look at equity, it's not just total population in the county, but it's the population of renters. And really that's what our benchmark needs to be to assure that we're reaching every community. So we brought together partners, and many of you are on this call, to craft messaging to simplify access And we have messaging for tenants, messaging for landlords, messaging for community partners, in one-pagers in multiple languages. And then we also have social media as well. I'm going to just do sort of a show and tell of some of the resources. And I'd love to send some of this messaging out to you, including email templates for your clients so that you don't have to be recreating the wheel every time, but that you actually have the responses that are helpful. You have seen, because I sent it out, the messaging we're going to go over. I have not sent out the social messaging. I didn't want to spam all of you, but I'm welcome to share anything. So I'm going to start with our unified messaging. And this is for tenants is the first one. They're individual. Happy to share these for you. This is meant as a holistic housing picture. So not just how to access the housing assistance dollars, but all of the supports for the concerns during this time about eviction, mediation, and other things. So for the tenants, this one pager talks about working with your landlord to negotiate repayment plans, to get those specific pieces of information necessary to apply for your rental assistance, etc. There's also some confusion, I'd say, in the community around mediation and eviction defense. And why would a household want mediation? What is it and what are my rights within it? Why, as a landlord, would I want mediation? And of course, mediation is required as you're going forward and to prevent yourself from being evicted. You need to have that plan in place, that mutual plan with the landlord and yourself. So for the tenant perspective, the volunteer lawyer program has free legal assistance and advice. They would love to be contacted by anyone who is afraid that they might be evicted or anyone who is really behind in either utilities or in their rent, because they can simply define and describe what mediation does. Even if they don't need legal support, they can inform them of their rights so that when they go to the mediation, they're really prepared and they know what to expect and they can have a positive outcome. So Fulcrum and Northwest Mediation do the mediation. Volunteer lawyer program can provide those lawyers. Northwest Mediation and Fulcrum are not attorneys. However, they are very skilled at mediation and they are that neutral party that the tenants and landlords can sit down together with. There are portals. So there's an update on the portal. The Family Promise portal, as Joe just said, is open right now, and you can either access it through the city website, there's a link there, or just directly through Family Promise. Live Stories also is one of the contractors, and they are handling the Carl Maxey funds as well through their portal. They have chosen, because of equity, to not open their portal quite yet. They're open for applications. They're taking paper applications, and the paper applications are actually posted on the city site. And so you can download those and submit those. There are several contracted community partners. The Zone is one of them that is helping people. Live Stories has decided to slow the opening of the portal in order for community partners to assist families that are furthest from opportunity and have the most barriers to going on and filling out an online portal, so that those paper applications can be prioritized in passing out the funding. So they are looking at, is it a BIPOC family? What is their income level, etc., when they're prioritizing these paper applications. So we expect about mid-June, their portal will also be open. They will continue to have that paper application support, and you can see on the city website those organizations that can assist people in making copies or scanning it or submitting it if necessary. So Live Stories portal is not open yet, even though it was planning on being so, and the reasoning is that they want to assure equity. So I know that that has been a little bit of a confusion, but that's the rationale behind that. There are many in-person events now that are chaired. The volunteer lawyer program is there, mediation is there, people with different language skills and cultural backgrounds are there to help message the safety and message the eligibility of applying for events. So I will show you some of the events. The Zone Project is located in Northeast Spokane out of the Northeast Community Center. So our in-person tabling is focused in the Northeast at vaccine clinics, farmers markets, etc. But anyone is welcome anywhere to, spread this word if your organization has capacity. And on the city website is also eligibility. If you live outside of the city limits, you still will figure out what you're eligible for by going through this tool of eligibility. So it really is for anyone in the county. Obviously, if it's rental assistance and you're outside of the city limits, you would be given to someone that can handle that, like SNAP or Spokane Resource Center or others. At the bottom of the posters are the QR codes that you can simply scan depending on what you need on the poster. So I'm going to just quickly go through the Landlord. It is very similar. However, you'll notice in mediation, the volunteer lawyer program isn't there because that's not applicable to the landlords. But we do want to make sure that the landlords understand how they can recapture some of their rent so that they don't simply sell their properties. Because if they sell their properties, we have less housing available, and that is going to create that crisis. I see a lot of chats are popping up because I'm screen sharing. I'm not going to check them yet. But we will have time for questions, so thank you so much. And then the landlords also are able to use portals and initiate this process and give their DUNS numbers and all these other things that are important to make sure that people stay housed. So, and they have the applicable QR codes right there to scan. And then for community partners, these are just some tips of things that you can tell your clients or your families as they come in to receive your services, and they really do mirror the others. It's just that the message is a little bit, different. So for example, if you have a client coming in speaking a different language, these are some of the contracted partners, the Zone, Northwest Mediation, who can help with that language support for your different clients. So I'm going to pull up some of the other things. For example, the template messaging here. I pulled it up for me, but I didn't pull it up for you. Let's see, where is share?
And Jenna, while you're pulling that up, a couple of people have put in the chat like, oh, where can I get a copy of this? Can you send me a copy of this? And I've responded that in the email that I sent out at 8:30 this morning, all these things are attached. Everything you are showing is attached. So yes, you can go back to that email to get it.
Yes, absolutely. However, this template messaging we've been using internally, and I'm extremely excited to share with you because since Tuesday, our phones have been blowing up, our emails been blowing up, and so we've crafted some of these things to save time. So if someone reaches out to your organization, I'll send this to you because it links the city webpage. If you have questions, the number for live stories, which helps with live stories and Carl Maxey, is right here. Family Promise right here. So basically, any questions that can be answered that you don't have to, saves your time and capacity for someone who does need your support. So these are general numbers. And then, you know, it's always good to talk, to let them know there is free legal assistance to help you navigate what should and shouldn't happen. We have a lot of landlords that are, you know, that don't have very many properties. And so they may not understand all of the legal requirements right now, and they may accidentally do something that shouldn't be done. And so that's why it's helpful for the tenants to have lawyers. And then on the city website, it has, you know, the other partners listed that can also help. So the intent of this, and I'll send it out, is that it saves your organization time and capacity, and it gives valuable, valid information to your clients so that they can help themselves as much as possible and know where to reach out in case. The information, the flyers, we have those, and I also have this Facebook post that I will show you because it has some of our tiles that you could, the Zone Spokane, you know, you can just go on Facebook and share that. The messaging is already there. The social media tiles and this information ready for the platform is already there. It would take 2 seconds to share it to your page, and then your demographic has this same information. I'll talk about powerful stories in a second. I do want to see, where's my share screen here? Here's an example of one of the tiles that would be on the social media. So we've made tiles that are specific to specific things. So if you want to make a post a day, or if only certain things are applicable to you, you know, this one is about the volunteer lawyers program. And let's see if this one is about mediation, for example. So I'm just showing you a couple of those that would be available through that Facebook or our LinkedIn, and I can send them individually to you as well. So I know this is a ton of information. Let me share. This is my big show and tell day, I guess. The other thing that we would love to have is support. If you have organizational support in different languages, to really message safety and eligibility to all of our cultural communities. And this is really this equity piece. So the zone is going to be at all of our Hilliard farmers markets, which are on Mondays from 3 to 7, starting the 14th of June at the Northeast Community Center, and also at vaccine clinics. For example, Mujeres en Acción is going to Rogers High School. It's focused on our Latinx community, but anyone is welcome. And there will be the volunteer lawyers program and others around housing. That's on the 12th. And then, you know, there's the follow-up the month later that is there, and other things. So we can get free tables for people if you are there to help with housing. So let me see. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about before I answer some questions is when we're talking to our families, and I think you may experience the same thing, the most powerful way to help someone engage is through a powerful story of someone like them and how it has really helped their family. It would be scary to talk to a lawyer, especially if you're an undocumented family, for example. It would be scary to go to mediation. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have to be prepared to fight against my landlord? Then my landlord sees me, and then maybe my landlord will have some type of retribution against me. That's not true, but it is a valid concern. And so what would be extremely helpful from this coalition is if there are any positive stories of outcomes from the tenant perspective, from the landlord perspective, from the community partner perspective about households who have been stabilized and really benefited from this housing assistance have new hope for the future. I want to be very careful that we have permission to share those stories. It would be best if those people share their stories themselves. But I think that as we're moving forward with this crisis of eviction, the more we can connect to those who need services in a way that resonates with them, the more impact we're going to have as a community. So I'm really challenging us to come up with some powerful stories from those three perspectives so that we can engage and support more households in the county. So now, Barry, will you please be moderator and ask some questions?
Well, I think you're doing really well because the only thing the chat has asked is, can I get a copy of this? And I, told them that it's attached to the email. I also put in the link to your Facebook page, which has all of that. And you so wisely said they get to share it to their own page. So, questions? Anybody?
This is our Facebook post. So just as an example, thank you, Barry.
Jenna, I think you have done such an incredible job. I'm not seeing chat questions and I'm not hearing verbal questions.
Well, I will share just that template messaging in case you want to copy paste to the emails. If your phones have been anything like our phones this last couple days, it would be helpful to have something that's just a plug and go. So I'll make sure you get that. If you need, I shared Spanish already, if you need Arabic or Russian or some other language, and please, if you have any capacity and any outreach staff that speaks different languages that would be available to table in different places around the community and connect to those communities, I would love to hear that as well. So I'll put my email in the chat. It's also in the agenda, so you can go back and check that. But thank you so much, all of you, for your work.
Well, on behalf of everyone, I know Jenna is very good about saying this was a collaborative effort among many, 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 many people and groups. And yes, it was. But thank you, Jenna, for putting it all together. Yes, awesome, awesome, awesome. Our next presenter is the action group Stop the Sweeps. I am so pleased. I am thrilled that this group, history. 2 months ago, I just keep this meeting on when we finish officially, and people just start talking and chatting. And a group of folks started talking a lot about, the sweeps and a lot of other subjects. And they said, well, why don't we get together and form our own group? And they did. And they are going to present now, and you are going to see an enormous, wonderful amount of work that they have done in the last 2 months. So Joan and Dawn and Action Group, take it over.
Okay, I'm going to start. This is Dawn Schuster. So I and Joan and Ken are all going to kind of tag team this. We have different parts, and we're going to just kind of give you a background and a lot of which you already know, but, and talk about the petition and then the benefits of the petition and then kind of next steps and what you can do. So that's kind of what our order is. So we can all agree that homelessness is a large and growing issue in the Spokane region. And we all know there's a variety of reasons people are homeless, such as, according to the last point in time count, lack of income, family conflict, domestic violence, lack of affordable housing, and loss of employment. And as we all know, although a small percentage might choose to be homeless, the vast majority of people do not choose to be homeless. And we had about 505 low barrier shelter beds during the winter months, but due to, what Ben was talking about, we are about to have about 200 to 300. So we're going to have a lot less. And as Joan said, it's going to mainly impact opposite sex families and couples that want to stay together because they'll have less places to go, if any. So we kind of just want you to imagine if you suddenly became homeless, would you feel comfortable staying in a shelter with as many as 100 other people, or would you rather camp outside with your significant other or family? And would the COVID pandemic have influenced your decision? Where would you go during the day or sleep at night? Where would you store your things and keep them secured? Where would you go to the bathroom? How would you keep yourself clean and healthy? How would you access food and water? How would you protect yourself from the elements? And how would you keep a job? If you had medical conditions or mobility issues, think about how that would impact you. And if you chose to camp outdoors, you risk being swept on a daily basis. How would you deal with having to pack up and frequently move, really realizing you really have no legal place to go? You can't be at a shelter during the day if you weren't a guest the night before. And constant moving impacts a person's ability to secure a job, food, safety, and services. And the sweeps create additional trauma. And a lot of the people on the streets have already experienced trauma. And it contributes to behaviors that the general public doesn't really understand. And some people are going to turn to substances in order to cope. And as we all know, it's in addition, once becoming homeless, it is very difficult right now to exit homelessness. Spokane's facing a less than 1% housing vacancy rate, astronomically increasing rents, lost jobs, reduced incomes, and this eviction moratorium is about to expire, which is probably going to increase our homeless population. And right now, if you have a voucher, you might have to wait up to 3 years, depending upon who you are, to obtain housing. Homelessness is not a crime. However, if you are homeless in Spokane and you come to a complete stop outdoors, you may be in violation of the law currently. You're living under constant threat of being told to move along, or being cited, or being arrested. And whether you're camping outdoors at a shelter that clears everyone out in the morning, where are you supposed to go during the day? How would you feel if you were homeless about being looked upon and treated as a criminal when there is no lawful place for you to exist? So this is how thousands of people in the Spokane area, some have been chronically homeless for years, and others are newly homeless, facing these challenges for the first time. So in our most latest point in time count, which is January 2020, there were 1,559 homeless individuals. And this is widely considered to be an undercount. And so I recently learned about this. The Washington Department of Commerce they make their own point in time count. They combine HMIS data with Medicaid economic service data and economic service data such as SNAP and TANF. And their count in January 2020 was 5,483, which is 3.5 times Spokane's own January 2020 point in time count. And that is only counting emergency sheltered and unsheltered individuals in Spokane.
Thanks, Dawn. In response to this situation, the Stop the Sweeps Action Group was formed out of the coalition meetings in March, like Barry explained earlier. At this time, Stop the Sweeps is not a ballot issue, but we do have a petition. We simply ask our officials to stop the criminalization of homeless individuals in order to create safe spaces for people to exist unsheltered and to provide basic services for those folks. In order to make this happen swiftly, we ask for 6 immediate changes. We ask that our region suspend enforcement of laws that target and criminalize people experiencing homelessness, and that confiscate personal belongings and gear. We ask that they provide 24/7 adequately serviced public toilets and hand washing stations, that trash receptacles are provided and regular collection services are provided where people shelter outdoors, that adequate storage is also provided so that people can secure their belongings. Identify public spaces where sheltering in vehicles or camping is not criminalized. And these could be places like empty lots, undeveloped park areas, or the big spaces under the freeway. Provide plentiful low barrier day centers, and those should have basic services. So there's a lot of moving parts to solving all the myriad of issues around homelessness. Changes in zoning laws and building low-income supportive housing are important parts of that solution, but those take time. Sometimes they take a year or even, several years to accomplish. And in contrast, Stop the Sweeps can be achieved in a matter of weeks. We are the piece that helps to address where people can go tonight if there aren't enough shelter beds, or if the barriers make shelters an impossible choice for people.
Thank you. Implementing Stop the Sweeps benefits public health and safety, the local economy, the vibrancy of downtown, and aligns us with equity goals, recent court rulings, and the law. 24/7 accessible toilets, hand washing stations, and regular trash pickup have obvious public health benefits. Safe sharps containers reduce the likelihood that anyone might encounter discarded needles. Adequate storage frees people to use public transit, make appointments, access services, acquire food, be employed, and safely dismantle camps. Day centers mean fewer people on the street every day, year round. A safe place to shelter outdoors allows for healing without the trauma associated with government enforcement. We're not saying people camp wherever they wish. Nobody wants tents in front of the Apple store unless they just issued a new iPhone. This will improve optics and perception of safety, encouraging more visitors to downtown and other places of business. We're offering business leaders what they've been demanding all along: more walkable, shoppable, and visitable business districts. Allowing people to shelter in place outdoors and providing well-stocked restroom facilities with water taps brings us into compliance with current CDC guidelines and reduces the spread of infectious disease and sustains service provider connections. The economic benefits of decriminalizing homelessness are vast, surprising, and accrue on every level. A May 2015 report from Seattle University School of Law concluded that Spokane's criminalization ordinances are costly and actually perpetuate homelessness. It recommends we reallocate resources to affordable housing, as well as choose not to arrest, cite, or incarcerate individuals for conducting necessary life-sustaining activities. Economic benefits will come from reduced need for emergency and other health care. Healing is easier when people remain in place. When property is no longer subject to routine confiscation, donations of life-saving gear and other necessities will get a lot more bang for their buck. Perhaps the most important benefit of decriminalizing homelessness is the restoration of decency and the possibility of living in harmony with our conscience and shared values. But following the law is also important. Failure to comply with federal court decisions is irresponsible and expensive. Our city's reputation's on the line. Our federal courts have ruled that unsheltered people are entitled to the same constitutional rights as those all other citizens enjoy. These include protections from government seizure and destruction of unattended but not abandoned personal property. And if there's no option for indoor shelter, the government can't criminalize homeless people for sleeping outdoors on public property on the false premise they had a choice in the matter. It's time we comply with these rulings and step away from criminalizing homelessness. Helping people will cost less and achieve better outcomes. Stop the Sweeps encourages alignment with equity statements from both the Continuum of Care and the Regional Health District. Our asks directly mitigate discrimination and profiling based on socioeconomic status and improve access to services. We encourage our leaders to include the voices and ideas of people currently experiencing homelessness and of those with lived experience, because decisions made by those at the top don't always reflect or address the needs and rights of those most affected. Specifically include people with lived experience at all meetings, workshops, conferences with local, regional, state, and federal government. Inclusion's critical when the governor visits Spokane to discuss homelessness and for similar events in the future.
So I want to talk a little bit about tent cities and how they work. We have successful long-running tent cities here in Washington State, and those include self-governing structures, respect for the privacy of residents, and financial support from local governments. Kyoto Village started out as a tent city in downtown Olympia in 2007, and it's still going. Over time, funding came from federal, state, and local sources, including a $1 a year for 41 years lease for a site that was provided by Thurston County. Nicholsville in Seattle started in 2008 with tents and structures. A partnership was formed with the Low Income Housing Institute, which provided case managers and a conduit for funding from the city of Seattle. The residents of Nicholsville retained their autonomy and self-governing of day-to-day management of site operations. The Seattle City Council recognized the value of this democratic model by granting Nicholsville $800,000 in their 2021 city budget.
Thanks, Joan. So I'm just going to finish up just real quickly. Stop the Sweeps. Our petition has collected more than 1,250 signatures since launching 6 weeks ago. And last week, we were honored to receive an endorsement from the Washington Low Income Housing Alliance. We've received inquiries from folks on how to help. And here's some ways. First way, you can sign the petition online or in person. We'll put the link in the chat. You can help collect signatures for our petition, encourage friends and family to sign online or help gather signatures in person. You can raise awareness by talking about it at work if appropriate, or with your groups. Remember, this is not a ballot issue, and you can see our website for any information you need to share it. Attend an action group meeting that we're having weekly and jump in and help. And if you see sweeps happening, stop and witness them. Document with pics or video. Your simple presence can make a difference in the way people are treated. We currently are facing the eviction moratorium expiring at the end of the month, the loss of emergency beds at the Way Out shelter, an unprecedented tight rental market, and the voucher backlog. Thousands more people in Spokane will become homeless in July, and our system can't handle the anticipated flood. It would be unnecessarily cruel to criminalize these folks and anyone else who's already homeless. So our next steps include honing and sharing our message to cultivate more allies and to find common ground with skeptics. We're going to continue collecting signatures, and we hope very soon to present our petition. We're talking to some elected officials to find a time and place to present our petition to our regional electeds. We are building broad support with people, both who have lived experience. A lot of our signatures are from people with lived experience currently on the streets or that have left the streets, and as well as our wider community. There's an equal amount who are also who've also signed, who are people in the general public. It's time to show our officials that the world is changing and we must do better. Remember, even if these simple tasks are implemented, more hard work remains. We still have the big asks in front of us, and it will take even more dedication, advocacy, and rolling up our sleeve, but it's worth it. Each of the changes that all the groups and individuals are working towards will benefit our community and save lives. And we thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to present today. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, awesome. Comments, questions?
I just want to say awesome job. I've sat in on some of the discussions at the end of some of the coalition meetings, and my name is Joe Sands, and concerned citizen, and just a huge supporter of all the work everybody does, and those that are jumping in on this. Yeah, I drive down to my office down in the University District pretty much every day now, and when I see 3 or 4 cars, police cars, in a section somewhere along any one of the streets, 2nd Division, somewhere, my concern is, are they, are they dealing in an appropriate fashion with whatever the situation might be, or what's going on? Is it, is it a citizen concern, or is it just, kind of a welfare check? And I don't know how we kind of help educate everybody else on if this is, these are things that actually go on all the time. So great work, Don, Joan, Ken, and the rest of the group.
And their info is in the chat, the website, Facebook page, petition. You can sign it online. They set out, if you want to join in their group, they use the coalition listserv to announce their meetings and when they are, and everyone's welcome. And if there's no other comments or questions, I am stunned that we got everything in. Oh, let me add one more thing. David Lewis from the city was going to report today, and he just sent me an email saying, sorry, he was triple booked and couldn't get out of things. And he sent me kind of a summary of what he was going to say. Let me see what he said. I asked him, he said, sorry, I can't be here. And I emailed him saying, well, can I put your summary in the chat? And at the moment, I haven't seen a response to that yet. Because, and I will echo what Ben Stuckart said. I deal with the city. I'm on a couple of boards, and the city staff is doing an incredible. I mean, they are working so hard, and they are short-staffed. So I applaud the city staff and all they're doing, and David, one of them. So thank you, city staff. If nothing else, then I'm going to officially end the official meeting, but I keep it open for whoever wants to stay around and chat. I sent out in my email this morning just some questions about smoke, hazardous air, and snow, and coming up with solutions for that. And I'm not willing to take that on and take the lead on it, but I'm kind of hoping some folks in here might say, hey, I'd like to do what those Stop the Sweeps people did and form my group and kind of charge ahead with this. But so anyway, I am done. And announcements. Is there anybody on here who would like to make an announcement or something before we officially close the official part? Raise a hand. Joan.
I have two things. I wanted to just remind everyone of the June 11th event that's coming up that's already been mentioned. It's the big vaccine clinic, and they're going to have a bunch of other stuff going on, music and legal advice and free haircuts and catered food and such. And it's going to be at the CATS parking lot, Compassionate Addiction Treatment, on June 11th from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. And then the second announcement I have is I'd like to remind everyone, if you're not already aware, that the MAC movement, that's the Music, Arts, and Creativity Group, they gather at City Hall on Monday nights, 5 o'clock, for free dinner with a side of free speech. So I just wanted to put that out there too. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Sherry, and Sherry, before you say it, Katie, thank you for closed captioning. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was the free dinner with a side of what?
Free speech.
Free dinner with a side of free speech.
There we go. Okay.
And thank you, Katie, for your.
So before we went to Zoom meetings, video city councils.
Sherry.
I was just going to explain the MAC movement events.
We're breaking up.
Oh, go ahead.
We're breaking up. They started those years ago to encourage people to participate in city council meetings when they were held live, and they've continued it all through the pandemic and the video only stuff. And I guess there's folks there with laptops and stuff that'll encourage people to participate in an open forum. So that's how that got started.
Good. Thank you, Joan. Sherry, what's up?
Well, I just wanted to reiterate that we were supposed to have a SNAP approved in-person rental assistance event at Opportunity Presbyterian Church from 11 to 3 on the 19th. And unfortunately, I've had the passing of my Nana, and then my daughter has surgery that week, so we're having to postpone it. So if you see stuff out there, it's been canceled. I just want to throw that out there. We served 9 people and over $35,000 at our first one. It was very tiny. This time around, we had planned to have tables out in the parking lot, and we were going to have the mobile food banks. It would have been, a good time to do it with the moratorium deadline coming up. But I can't do both. I can't do all of that. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that. It'll be coming in the future, though.
You can't do it all, but you can do a lot, Sherry. Thank you for what you do. Other announcements?
I have an announcement.
Dua.
Hi, this is Dua Rahima Williams. I'm a statewide organizer with Washington Low Income Housing Alliance. And so for those of you who have not got the petition to sign on to extend the eviction moratorium, I'm going to put that in the chat. So you can go online and fill that out. And we're also looking for people to tell their stories who have been impacted by this. And I'll put that information in there. And if somebody is interested in sharing their stories for our newsletter or anything else like that, there's a person you can contact, one of my coworkers, Sarah, and I'll put that into the chat as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any announcements? No? Then okay, discussion. Who wants to bring up some topic or ask some question or do something? Oh, right. You're all just gonna stay and watch and listen, huh?
Okay, my hands are hurting.
Katie, please stop. That's good. You're good. Thank you.
I closed it. I closed it with a finality, so. But man, you know what? I'm doing better. At least most people get the gist. I'm not having the first time. Holy crud. Imagine every person on here. Imagine when you introduce yourself, your first and last name, who you're with, you know, try and think about typing how many flipping coalitions and organizations and co-ops and moratoria. Holy crud, I can't spell moratorium to save my life, but you get the gist.
Yeah, you're amazing, Katie. Thank you.
So I do have a question with the Stop the Sweeps. I'm interested in getting involved in the Stop the Sweeps group thingamabobber.
So we're having our next meeting at noon today, just to debrief about our presentation today. But we usually meet on the Thursday, every week on Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. And I send a Zoom link out to the people of our action group. I try to remember to send it also out to the coalition, the big coalition, but I don't always remember. So I will send the Zoom link out in the email to the big coalition for today, and then I haven't set the one up for next week yet, but I will send that out for sure, so you can join.
We operate by consensus, so that is how you can get yourself involved, and your voice is going to have an impact. We need new energy constantly, and have been blessed to use this as a platform to reach out to people that are doing great work. And thank you, everybody, for your support and patience. Mm-hmm. Please come to the meetings. It's the best way you can involve yourself, and the only way you can know what we're really about, because I can only speak for me. The group is kind of making decisions as we move.
And I also wanted to mention, I put it in chat, but I don't think chat gets on the video recording that's saved to YouTube. So I wanted to point out that as we were starting this meeting this morning, we got a message that they had started doing a sweep at Mission Park this morning. We get these messages throughout the day, pretty much every day.
And when we're done, I do capture the chat and I post it on the website. So I mean, it's not for a few days, it's not current, but it's all there. If something was brought up that you missed at the time, you can go back and look at it.
Okay, so did you put the Zoom link in the chat for the noon thingamabobber?
No, I'm gonna stick it in an email to the coalition, and I'll do that right now.
Yeah,
so I'll be able.
We'll all get it here.
Oh.
He sends it out.
Okay, I'll try to put it in the chat right now then.
Oh, Katie, you're not on the coalition?
Oh yeah, I'm on the coalition, but I'm in my work schedule right now, and I was wanting to put the Zoom link in my reminder in my calendar, or I get lost.
Right, I get lost a lot.
And not only that, Barry, I only get the emails once a day. So if you send something out, I don't get it till the next morning. I don't know if you know that. That's the way it works for some people.
Yeah, right, the digest or the abridged. What I do every morning, well, on the Thursday mornings before this meeting, I have to basically start the Zoom, make a YouTube link so that this meeting that we're Zooming on also is YouTube live and recorded. And I don't have that link until the morning when I started. So that's why I sent out like a half hour before this Zoom meeting an email with that YouTube link.
I was just able to put the Zoom link for the debrief at noon into the chat, so I won't bother doing it in the email to the coalition.
And I'd like to dish some praise out for you, Barry. You do such a remarkable job at this. The technology end is something that seems seamless, and I know it's a ton of work. And when we first got rolling, there were people in our group that wanted the endorsement of the Homeless Coalition. And to strike the balance you do is amazing. You're so good, because this is not a group that does that. You create a platform for all of us to meet our needs and share with one another what's most important. And to strike that balance as an organization as big as this is challenging. And you do a very good job at that. And it's a great resource for people. I think it's demonstrated by how well attended it is.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I feel both an honor and a privilege and a responsibility that this coalition, which has existed for about 30 years, just to try to keep it heading in the right direction, not go off the rails. So that's why I, along with the other leadership team members, try to keep a good balance.
Can I ask a quick question that's completely off topic?
Of course, it's open.
All right, so I have a client that I'm working with, and he's got a very, very pregnant bride, and they just got into an apartment, but no air conditioning. So I was able to get an air conditioner from Jules. He was able to pick it up yesterday after work. Apparently it doesn't blow air. So does anybody have like an extra like little air conditioner or something, like a little window thing that can help cool them off? Because not only is she like 9, I mean, she's like about to pop any day. They also have a 13-month-old running around too.
Well, if nobody does here, put it back on the listserv and get another one.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot. We're gonna see if the maintenance guy can do anything with it today. To, maybe maybe there's a vent switch that isn't open or something. Something simple like that, because that's not beyond. I don't care how good you are at mechanics. If you don't know where something's at, you don't know. So I'm gonna sign off and say goodbye because I need to go.
Yeah, fine.
Rest.
Bye, guys. This is kind of like when we were in person in the meeting, and the people would just kind of mill around and chit chat. That's all this is right now. So you gotta go. Bye.
Okay. See you guys later. Bye. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
I see Jose Trejo's here. He's the one that I wanted to make my time useful when I left the Guardians and this year. And I just asked him, what's a dream case look like? And he gave me info. He said, we need documentation of the government taking people's belongings. And we need a client that we can reach, contact. And like it was just hope in his heart that made itself show up with the first day I'm out there. We're getting that. And it's when I realized that this is so routine, and people are getting drifting further and further from feeling like they're a connected part. And but Jose is a part of that. And thank you, brother.
Yeah, no, and that's still the continuing thing. And I apologize for not having. I'm sort of kind of working on the putting together the team or the process for the right to counsel legislation. So that's been taking a huge portion of my time. I'm trying to get some other individuals who are interested in civil rights stuff to take over the part that I've been doing in the past. And though they'll be actually at the June 11th event with me. So if you guys are there, stop by. We're going to put up some, outreach booth stuff together. Yeah, it's still the biggest issue is that we have to have a client who can follow through. And in the cases, so one of the things I negotiated, for instance, is that with the settlement with the city is that the city is going to store people's items, but no, in order to get a case, somebody has to go and be able to show that they had their stuff taken by the city, and then the city didn't store it. And the city is storing stuff occasionally. It seems pretty random, but I haven't found anyone who's actually even gone to ask for their stuff back. And in order to say that they have to get the stuff, that the city's violating the law, we have to somebody who I mean, we can't just go in there and say, well, we know because we saw you throwing a bunch of stuff away. We have to find that person whose stuff it was, and then they have to go and ask, and then we can bring a lawsuit if we have the evidence to show that that actually happened. And that's been the frustrating part of this. And and I started doing a lot more outreach, over the last year, and I'm hoping. I mean, there's been some people who have come in and some interest in it, but the reality is that most of the people who are, sort of living hard, and there's no connection to. I mean, there's no reason to trust the system, and there's always an issue. Like they're worried about, there's gonna be judgment if they're high. There's warrants. There's where they're gonna put their, all of that kind of stuff, and nothing ever good comes from it. So I'm trying to figure ways to reestablish that trust. Again, but this last 3 months or 2 months, really, I haven't had the opportunity to be out, which is why I haven't been able to make those meetings. Those meetings are kind of exactly on some of that right to counsel meetings that I've like in the same time like that. So, but
some additional issues that contribute to that is I don't think folks on the street are real great at tracking time for pretty obvious reasons. And then also, most of them aren't receiving any kind of a written notice as to when the sweep happened or how they're supposed to get their stuff back. And even if they do get a written notice, it's like, well, I guess it's on the written notice when the sweep happened, but it's like, how is the city keeping track of that stuff? How are people supposed to know what day the sweep happened and what time, and how do they know whose stuff it is that they took? I don't understand how the system is supposed to work at all.
Well, it wasn't. It's kind of tricky in the sense that when we were putting everything together, there's it's everything. Examples were like, well, how do you like tents and blankets are obviously like things of obvious value, and tents tend to dry out pretty quickly, but sleeping bags and blankets don't. So you can't store those stuff in a practical sense. There's just no way to say the city's got to lay it out, clean it, also stuff that's soiled, things like that, right? So we had all of these balancing issues, and so a lot of it was, well, you have these rights to the notice, sort of those are already there, and it really came down to, well, the city doesn't know whose stuff it is if it's not abandoned but isn't being tended to. It was just the only thing we didn't just because the forms, I don't know, it didn't go anywhere. The idea was that when something got taken, there'd be a notice posted where it was, and that just didn't get into just because of there's such a variety of people that would have to have that form and all this other stuff. They just didn't want to add that part of it. But I thought that was like the best option I could think of, but there's just not it's really, and that's why I've been handing out the flyers, that's not the way. I couldn't get that to happen, and I that's the only way I could even think of like making that sort of in a practical sense happen.
And where are they supposed to post it? I mean, like if they're out in a natural area or something, where's this notice?
Yeah, that was like it's easier when it's under the bridge or something like that, or like in a sort of a hard urban area or on a telephone, near a telephone pole. But having these flyers, then they have to go back and get the flyer and all of that kind of stuff. And so it wasn't, I understood the city's point. I just don't have. It was one of those things where there's just not a practical way, except so the best is city education. And then the other thing that we're going to be doing hopefully is so we have some internal restrictions about like that are negotiating with their union with regards to COVID, where we're not, the management can't assign people to go and do like outreach. And so as a result, we're kind of prohibited from it, but as we're getting, that's loosening up now as we're all getting our vaccinations. And so what we're going to do, I'm hoping, is to have more of like at least a once a month, maybe, twice a month at, like, for instance, I've been going just sort of on my own time to the feeding that is done on Wednesdays at the
Revival.
Yeah. And that's but it hasn't been real. Like, I don't have like a big poster or like any of those kinds. I'm just handing out flyers and like, hey, here I am to talk to you. But I'll get something a little bit more like where NGP is behind it. It's not just me doing it, which will happen after, which is totally fine. Like, I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, but they just didn't want us doing during COVID, because then they don't want just union stuff and just being practical in the sense of like, we don't want it to tell employees they should go out and do this. So they kind of banned it. But
I think that's really interesting though, because like in the pictures that Ken took for over several days, none of them were wearing masks except for I think one time.
What are you talking about?
The employees that are.
Oh, I'm talking about NJP. I'm talking about the NJP people. I'm trying to say is we're going to, in order to do better outreach, we're going to be doing, I'm trying to getting people to go out to be, so we have a place that's literally one time a month or twice a month.
Oh, okay.
Or that somebody from NJP will be available to at places that actually have houseless populations going there, right? And so far that's up, until December, there wasn't any place really that was happening that was like would be in a safe situation. And then now there's some places that I think that's okay to do that, but NJP just hasn't released us to do that like as a group or officially. I'm doing that sort of on my own-ish in a certain sense recently, and then I've got bogged down in other things. But in order to have a team that's oriented towards the civil rights stuff, part of I hope what you guys will, I'm back me up if I guess is what I'm asking, if you think this is the right way to do it, is to have a person on site every other Tuesday or something like that at a feeding or whatever, something like that, so that people can just come up without having to go through a community provider, because we have a person through the House Justice Initiative. We have people at Catholic Charities doing that, but then they still have to go through that step of the provider, which I think also scares people away a little bit. And also the providers aren't able to articulate things very well.
Is Blessings Under the Bridge still doing their Wednesday night feeds? Because when I was going to those, there were like a lot of people there.
Yeah, I actually I volunteered with them at for a summer like 2 or 3 years ago, and they had all the providers there. So that's actually one of the ones I'm thinking of, because that's got a better they set the infrastructure that they set up includes some service providers and stuff like that. So I think people that go there looking for that. So that's on my list of contacts when I get everything put together. But we will at least be starting this June 11th. And I think that will start by the middle of June. We'll have an idea. And if you guys think Blessings in the Bridge is a good way to do it, then that's I'll start there then.
I also think that Revival is a perfect location. It is ground zero, right there next to HOC. You have a built-in captive audience. If you can connect with people with useful know your rights, or with someone with food, if you could connect with people, that's the place to do this sort of work. Perfect.
Yeah, the other wrench that got thrown into everything is everything seems to be on the phone now, and even the code enforcement notices on how to retrieve your property, it's like a phone number they're supposed to call. That folks on the street, they, even if they have a phone and it hasn't been stolen, where are they supposed to charge them up?
Right.
That's the big thing that we're encountering is folks have a phone, but it's not charged, it's dead. And so they can't connect with any of the service providers because they don't have their phone. Right.
No, and then all of those are the if I could renegotiate it, I would say that there has to be a hard contact point at City Hall where they don't have to store this stuff at City Hall, but there should have been a hard contact point where people could go rather than having to call in about that. I should have been but it was just one of those things where just in terms of give and take, that was, you know, anyways, I'm hoping that there was going to be, I guess I wasn't careful in that part of it in thinking it through. I was just like, I assumed that there was going to be the way we were talking about it, that there was going to be a hard contact point. And then when I went back to look through it, when I saw the way they finally did it, I'm like, oh crap, I didn't get that in there. Even though it was probably talked about or something. I don't remember.
There's a lot of moving parts to that whole thing.
So, but yeah, so I get that phone thing is, you know, I just, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I just one of the things all I got is that in terms of donations, somebody should buy a bunch of those cheap battery packs, the solar battery packs that you can get for like $15, like in bulk, and then donate and hand those out with the hope that I'm not sure how well they work, but that's if they could charge a phone battery with solar power. That seems like, because that's such a huge, and that's also a huge issue, like with people if somebody has a outlet that is exposed, then people get really, you know, in their house or whatever, they'll often find individuals charging their phone, and they're being harmless or whatever, but it still makes people really nervous about people being on their property and so forth. And so that's always, I don't know.
Businesses downtown, you know, they've put locks over their outdoor outlets so people can't use them.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, we did the same thing here. Well, mostly it was because our air conditioner got wrecked for somebody broke into it for the copper, but there were people camping in our little enclosure where the air conditionings are with their phone, because we have a outlet in that area, and you know, it's anyways, I'm just going on a rant, right, or going off, but it was like, yeah, that's the phone thing is a huge issue. And I think a hard space just makes it, there has to be a hard contact point that they can go to at a certain time, I think, for so many things.
We should be able to negotiate that with the city. I mean, obviously what was set up isn't working. Right.
But the other problem is that we actually have to show that, and then this goes to the next point, like, or at least the part that's where I can't do it as a, you know, because of my funding restrictions as an activist, but I can't go and say, this is what's going on and sue them, because I haven't got a client that wasn't able to do it because of that particular situation, you know.
But why can't we negotiate with the city without, you know, pressing a lawsuit?
Because so for a legal services corporation funded law firm, we can be asked by the city but we can to give our opinion, but we can't advocate for legislative change, even as much as like city policy. That's considered a legislative action. And so there's a way for us to do it. Like I've done it before, like where Brian's invited me to be, you know, to give testimony or to be in a group or something like that. But it has to be sort of by that, you know, by the government agency. So somebody certainly can. This is where the for justice was nice, because they didn't have those restrictions and they could do that, like the kind of legislative negotiations. So that's why I
could contact Brian and say, this is a problem, and I could contact Brian and say this is a problem and ask, you know, city council to look into changing that.
Right. And so I think the thing would be just simply that somebody can go in and ask at the front desk there, right? Or that, like, hey, I lost my stuff. Can you call them for me, or can you check with them, some sort of check there? It's just been a hard point that people can walk in and not have to have the phone and then negotiate over the phone what it was, you know. And then that person would also be able to walk them through the information. Where was it? When was it? How did, you know, and those sorts of things a little bit more.
But I imagine that's going to be scary for people, because there's a police officer or two, or like a security guard that looks like a police officer at that desk.
Walk, you know, whatever, how. That's the part where, in terms of how I'm contemplating things, I mean, I've gotten it on the ball, but that I need, you know, tell me, or not tell me, but at this point, tell them like the best way to do that. Because again, it's the part of the phone thing also is that it doesn't require that like hard contact that scares people, but the So I don't know which way to, I wouldn't know like the alternative to setting that up in a practical where I think that, you know, maybe the library having when it open, you know, when it's open would have a 311 phone at the library.
Yeah.
Like a dedicated phone to for services, because that seems like something that I mean, that seems like, you know, that a great like service that the library could have in the lobby, and it only goes to 311, so it wouldn't be like people were using it for other, you know, like just talking on the phone or using it for personal reasons.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, that's just top of my, that's the problem is like there's half who you don't want them to have that situation, and I can't think of another place that would be not that it's not the library, but it have to be something, you know. There's also the community, the building where the services, what's the name? The building with this, you know, where they have the variety of different services that could be have a phone there as well.
Oh, the community building on, on Main?
Well, community maybe, but yeah, but there's another where they were. There's another one that was there's different service providers are being located, or Catholic Charities.
Oh, the Envision Center.
Envision Center. That's what. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Something, you know, or along those lines, or 3 lines, and you know, 3 hard lines for people to get services, which I also imagine a lot of those people would like, because it'd be like, well, go call the city, so they don't have to do it themselves, and they could point them to the phone or something like that. And it also maybe, or, you know, there could be like, I know the phones can be limited, so there could be options for calling, not just the, not just maybe, you know, a few other service providers too, where they could call in from that phone, including like the clear line, things like that, you know.
Well, I think at the library, we used to have a little like private room where people could make phone calls on like a special phone that like people who were deaf or hard of hearing could use. So maybe that, if the new building has a space like that.
Yeah, I think in general, like in a bigger picture, I think in an intake line, like, so the phone will be limited to the, you know, you'd have like options, right? And then so there's a clear, somebody could call clear for legal assistance, somebody could call Catholic Charity, all, you know, all of the different, they could call around to the shelters to see what's open, if that was, or what they think would be open. Obviously it'd be closed at a certain point. They could call, so the shelters would be on there. They could call intake lines for whatever other you know, homeless services they need. They would call the city for, you know, 311 line for those things. They could call the police department if they wanted to report, you know, they've been somebody assaulted them or something, which happens on a regular basis, and took their phone, which seems to be a story I've heard a number of times. You know, that kind of stuff. And I don't know, so that would be a thought. And that stuff, you know, obviously, so if the city has the ability to sort of help facilitate that kind of thing, and then have, or even have that kind of line, and then duplicate that line at a variety of different providers, places too, because that's.
Well, that sounds like something that's right up the library's alley, that like every.
Exactly, that's what the library jumped. That's why the library jumped to my mind. It's centrally located. It's not scary to anyone. And it's right by the city hall. You know, the people are already using that service. Like, that's a great, and you know, and help. And then you could add for that, because it doesn't have to be just for homeless outreach. It would be also, there would be the line for tourists. Tourists could use it for, you know, for other things as well, like for, you know, to connect to a variety of different city services oriented towards that kind of stuff.
Yep.
If they need it. Not that there's probably that many people who don't use their phone for that kind of stuff, but anyways, but every once in a while there's somebody, you know, anyways, so that was my thought on that.
I think that's a great idea.
Anyway, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta get to my next meeting.
Okay,
so,
I gotta get going too.
Sorry, I haven't been able to make it. I will be trying to make more, and then after like the 11th, I'm gonna try to get some other people who are involved in sort of helping with this, you know, what's going on.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You're busy. We're all busy.
All right.
Thanks, Jose.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I don't know who the host is of this anymore.
Not you.
But I noticed Barry had to sign off a little while ago. So is anybody left hosting or?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
No?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with the video.
It ended a while ago.
Did anyone left here? It looks like there's just two other people other than me. Did you have anything that you wanted to say? Anything
Bye-bye.
you wanted to share?
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you.
Bye.
See you next month.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.